Welcome to Left on Wed.
Bite-sized tips for people getting hitched. Georgia Fletcher.
Adam Sini.
In the same room.
How did we get here?
In this part of town.
Hello, I'm Georgia.
Hello, I'm Adam.
And what do you do?
I am your virtual assistant.
Siri, call Adam.
Today's podcast is sunny with a chance of a couple of good tips. You know what I'm saying?
Already reached the max of how many times we can say that now.
There's a bit of an easterly blowing in the direction of good tricks.
I'm getting a sense, reading your mind.
Oh my God.
You're dropping some real good hints about what we're talking about
Am
today.
I being that obvious?
I think
Georgia,
so.
oh my God, this is so crazy.
And if we had a bingo card for today's episode, I think I'd be calling bingo. We're talking about
No,
working
wait.
with the weather.
Aw,
I won.
working with the weather.
How do we do that?
How don't we do it?
Well, we don't assume that it's not going to rain.
Now, every episode we were like, okay, this is what a reception is. This is what an MC is, right? That's what we start with. Georgia, what is weather?
Well, if you were in my kindergarten class,
Please.
circa 2017,
Go.
we would be talking about how on warm days the sun is out and you would wear cool, comfortable clothes. On a cold day when it's raining, you would wear a jacket, a jumper, maybe some gumboots.
Oh my God.
But if you're not in my kindergarten class and you're organising a wedding and I'm your celebrant or you're the celebrant, what on earth are we going to do?
To be honest, some of the stuff that you said then, as like childish and dumb as it sounds, was actually a really good idea for your wedding, right?
Yeah, sensible clothes.
Sensible clothing.
Umbrellas.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't say that, but I should have.
So let's say, right, you're getting married. I want to talk seasons first.
Okay. There are 4 of them.
Okay.
But we
Uno,
never know when
dos,
they're occurring
tres,
anymore.
Cuatro. Yes. They've sort of all blended into one. Hashtag
Climate
the climate
change.
is changing. I want to talk about seasons,
How
right?
many?
Winter weddings.
Okay, we love them.
Dress appropriately. That's why my first tip is if you are wearing a dress that is maybe just sleeves and you have that for the ceremony, it might be a smart idea to have something to put over your shoulders that matches your outfit for afterwards.
Modern Rituals by Kaya does amazing denim jackets that have
Boom.
wifey or bride on the back, and you can find some other great ones on Etsy if she has completely sold out because she's so popular.
Cute. And I've seen like nice little shawls to put on.
The Iconic has some great woolly jackets. I have one in the back of my car.
I've seen grooms wear scarves as well, which
Oh,
is really
wow.
lovely. Like you might get married up in the Blue Mountains. It's a freezing night. You want to chuck something on. Fantastic.
And then aside from just ourselves and keeping warm, we need to consider our guests too. To have and to hold in case you get cold, here are some blankets.
Oh, you did a little rhyme.
Yeah, that's what I had at my wedding.
Cute. Little blankets put over your legs to keep them warm. Your guests are going to love you. Your ceremony will be better. Your reception will be better if your guests are comfortable. And that's a lot about what this episode is about, making everybody comfortable.
Yes, that is the aim of the game when it comes to working with the weather.
Working with the weather.
I would also be talking to your venue if we're chatting about keeping warm, if the fire can go on.
Yep.
So we were at a wedding recently together where they couldn't turn the fires on because it was quite a windy day.
Yep.
So having those communications and that dialogue with your people working at your venue is very, very important.
And you actually mentioned in your kindergarten speech, that's why
I?
I'm still drawing on this, you mentioned gumboots for rain.
Yes.
My wedding, as we've spoken about extensively on this podcast, was rained out completely. We were getting married in Marquee. We emailed all our guests to say, go pick up some gumboots. Don't worry about looking nice. Make sure that you're comfortable. So we sold the town out of gumboots. Everyone was wearing gumboots with their dresses, with their suits. They looked fantastic.
Vibes.
And it was a total vibe, right?
Love
and
it.
then everyone could get muddy, get into it, get amongst the rain. And that was the vibe because we worked with the weather in that way. So that's the way that you can sort of, in terms of outfits, think about the season and how you want to appropriately dress for that. Mind you, the seasons have been kind of messed up. So be aware that that might change as well.
Winter, tick. Next season.
Summer? Maybe don't wear a 3-piece suit. I don't think that that's wise. Hot, hot, hot.
You'll be sweating like Ricky Martin.
Sweating like, does he sweat a lot?
Doesn't he sing Feeling Hot, Hot? Oh.
No. Does he? Feeling hot, hot, hot. That? I think that's Ricky Martin's Livin' La Vida Loca. And what's the other song he does? He did 2 songs.
Maybe Enrique Iglesias?
It could be Enrique Iglesias. Yes, I think you might be right there.
That's very unlike me not to be here walking, talking karaoke. I thought I was going to get
Where's
that right.
Enrique now? Does he get played at weddings? Not enough.
No.
See, that's the problem with Enrique Iglesias.
But let's keep working with spring weddings and summer weddings
Great.
because they're sort of similar.
What I see a lot is, and this is maybe for your guests as well, you might put on your invitations to feel comfortable.
You could make your invitations bands
Oh, that's cute.
or your like little programs or
Yep.
some kind of stationery that you have on the ceremony chairs maybe or as guests are arriving. Fans.
Those hand fans are actually very good.
They are
I've
very
seen them
good.
recently at weddings, and they give you some good wind in the face. At hot weather day, fans are great. Parasols, I see a lot of recently at weddings as
shade.
well.
See,
Shade.
keeping cool and shade are two very different things that we can talk about. So
Yeah.
let's talk about shade.
Yeah, please.
Can we move our ceremony spot into the shade
Yeah.
so that we're not having a ceremony, and your photographer will love this too, where it's not half light, half shade, but you're also more comfortable because the breeze may come onto your face.
The dream of getting married in sunshine is being sold, and I think it's a dream that needs to potentially be rethought of, and this might be a controversial opinion.
Hot topic.
Hot topic, yes, so to speak. Getting married and standing in, and I'm talking hot sun, summer sun, full sun for your guests, no shade, is not fun. You are sweating from asshole to breakfast time. It's not comfortable. It's like that phrase. And you
I'm
need to
just wondering
consider
where
that.
breakfast time is.
Oh, it's exactly what you think it is. I think breakfast time is your mouth.
Oh, that's
Have you ever heard that phrase before? It's one of my granddad's
Absolutely
good
not.
ones.
It's-
He also says when he drops something, he says naked bum face every single time. And when he's really mad, he'll just say naked.
It would be wild to be in your family.
Oh, they're all like me, but just different generations.
Okay.
Nobody gets a word in, and everyone gets a word in at the same time.
How do they feel about hot weather though and being in the shade?
They feel really good about it. They love being in the shade. I think that having a really hot day for your ceremony sometimes is just as bad as being rained on during your ceremony.
I agree because it's much easier to get warm than it is to get cool.
So that sort of brings us to your plan B.
Yeah.
Which we've touched on our finding a venue episode, but I would like to sort of double down on that. When you are visiting your venue, when you're looking at your ceremony space, it's always good to look at what their their plan B option is. And I hate the term plan B.
Yes, I know. And I was speaking to a couple that I'm marrying next Thursday, and they said when we were talking about their wet weather and their plan B or their second option in case the weather is too hot or too rainy, they said it's a win-win either way.
Beautiful.
I love that. I said, you are so lucky you feel that way.
Yeah.
Because not every couple gets that experience because they may love the venue, but they may not love the wet weather plan.
And let's think of it as our second ceremony space rather
love
than our
that.
plan B or our wet weather plan or our backup option. It's our second ceremony space.
In case
And
of hot and cold weather.
hot, cold,
Windy.
wet, windy. Yes. All of these can be a mood ruiner for your ceremony. And for me, as the person who presents the ceremony, I know that if guests are getting rained on, they're too hot, they're too cold, it's too windy, they're going to zone out because they're more focused on the weather than on you two getting married.
Oh, especially because as the celebrant, we're standing up there. We can see them squinting. We can see them
Yeah.
put their hand on their head. We can see them have their sunglasses on, looking really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They've immediately disengaged.
Yeah. So, and I've actually done some of my best ceremonies have happened in the second option when it's
Yeah.
raining, and I've got everyone, we're inside, we're nice and close, and everyone's happy because they're comfortable in that space, and I've got them hook, line, and sinker for the next 20 minutes, and that's when I've done some of my best ceremonies, quite frankly.
I think it's also looking after yourselves, your guests, but also your vendors that rely on technology
Yeah.
because it's keeping their technology safe from overheating
Definitely.
or getting wet.
Yeah.
So if you've got a musician, you've got photographers and videographers, they've got expensive equipment that we need to look after and make sure that they're not in any sort of risk of damaging that too.
And with that option, it's good to delegate who will be deciding that it's moving to that area, right?
Yes, making a call on the day and sticking with it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, this is where we're getting married if it's nice. And when I say nice, I mean it's comfortable for guests, which we've sort of gone through what that means. And this is where we're getting married if the weather is not good for our first ceremony option. And who is making the call on the day? Maybe it's our venue manager. Maybe we have a wedding coordinator or a planner, or maybe we have a close family member or friend who will be making that call on our behalf because we've told them what we want.
You're in the midst of eating, drinking,
Don't worry
listening to
about it.
music, getting hair and makeup done.
Do not worry about it.
Do not worry.
Yep.
As the person getting married, that's why you've delegated and decided this
Yep.
beforehand.
And it's fine to make the decision on the day. Like, and my wife is a coordinator, as you know, and
it.
she was facing last week possible wet weather in Barrel where she was going, and she had the caterer asking her the day before where it was going to be, and she said, "We're not making that decision until the day." She put her foot down and told them we have to wait because the couple wants to wait till a few hours out, and it's my call.
Yes.
Thankfully, she waited, and it was a beautiful day, and they did it
Wow.
all in the first option where they wanted to have it. But she waited till a few hours out to make the call. She was ready to have to put it inside if she had to, because they had a beautiful second option as well, but she didn't have to do that. On my wedding, which we've talked about a lot, it rained. Our coordinator on the day made the call that it was going to move inside the marquee. Ange and I, funnily enough, as we were rocking up to the ceremony, had no idea where we were going because we didn't know. We didn't care. We rocked up. Everyone was inside the marquee. They were sitting down. They were comfortable and it was organised and we were happy. And our ceremony was great because of it.
We've talked about hot weather. We've talked about wet weather. Windy weather. We don't often think about windy weather, but if you have a veil or you have a dress, you're wearing your hair out, I'm not quite sure what the groom or groomsman's or those guests would be worrying about, but it's particularly noticeable that it's very uncomfortable for the bride when the wind is playing havoc on your wedding day too. So what could we do in the wind?
Ditch the veil.
Ditch the veil. It's okay. I've
don't need it.
strategically placed it under a toe before of a bridesmaid. It made great photos. I got the album back. It was genius.
Yeah.
It was very good.
That's good.
But it's very annoying and you may want to sacrifice that.
I was at a wedding recently, and during their first look, I was actually watching from afar, and it was so windy that the veil went and flew in and landed in the lake there.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodbye.
Goodbye, veil. Which was a shame. And I've seen people who have long hair have their hair out, and that might be a disaster in windy weather as well. So it might be something to consider that you might want your hair up if the weather is very windy.
Also, aside from talking about the couple and their comfort and what they're wearing and how they're
Yes.
dressing, is things will fly everywhere. So we were at a wedding last week together, and incredible Henry Clive had to stay there because they had glasses on the table and they needed to protect all of that from blowing away during the ceremony. Something that you may not have known because there was a
Didn't even notice.
coordinator.
Didn't
So
even notice.
really handy.
Just do my thing.
Also ensuring that the signage, they had a beautiful bit of signage that they made for the ceremony that was being repurposed for the reception. It was very sturdy. Ivy Lane had done an incredible job of securing the florals, but it made the sign go either side of what it was being held on. So making sure your styling and your signage is also properly secured too.
Yeah. So thinking about those weights and things to hold things down. Sandbags. Your venue will probably have stuff like that. but
Don't
then
assume.
Don't assume anything. To assume is to make an ass out of you and me.
Quick rundown. Rainy weather, what do we need?
Rainy weather, you need umbrellas. You need to use your second ceremony option. You need to be comfortable with using that option.
Making a call on time.
Make a call on the time, and be aware of your vendor's equipment.
Have towels packed in case things get wet.
To wipe down chairs, beautiful idea. Hot weather, you might want to think about doing it in an air-conditioned room.
If your dress is going to be really thick and long, you may want to have a second reception
Great.
dress that's easier and comfortable for you to change into.
Just having a ceremony under a tree also helps.
Having the non-sweat deodorant.
That's right. Even I've seen guests who just take off the jacket, roll up the arms of your
Fans.
shirt. That's totally fine as well, as far as I'm concerned.
Parasols for shade.
You'll see I wear a hat a lot. Slip, slop, slap.
Really, really important.
Nothing wrong
to
with that.
Have your guests and your vendors taking care of themselves.
Yep. So think about the weather. Georgia, last thing I want to say is there's these apps, right? There's these apps. There's these weather apps. There's thousands of them. And
We've
I
got
know
the bomb.
We've got Bomb, we've got Weather Zone, Apple Weather. They're all there. And I don't want a discount from them. I don't want them because you know what? Checking the weather doesn't change the weather.
I heard a myth, it could be true, could
Yep.
be not,
Go.
that they're actually based on meteorology data of the history of the weather on that particular day.
Yes. There is...
Not guaranteed.
No. I on that note, it was like, you can check, like, because sometimes, like, a year's time, you can see the weather. That doesn't help you because it's based on data.
Please don't.
30 days out, they don't know the weather.
No.
10 days out, they still don't know the weather. They only know the weather about 3 days out.
Yep.
That's when they can actually predict it. 5 days out, they're close. 7 days out, maybe. Anything more than that, they've got no idea, they're guessing. And
Too
anything
late to
can
change your plan B.
That's exactly right. It's
Not
too
too late to make a call.
Exactly. You can make the call in the day, but be prepared for that because watching the weather will not change anything. It's just going to make you feel more anxious about the day.
It's like watching the clock. It makes the time go slow.
It's exactly right.
Never watch a kettle boil.
Never watch a kettle boil, never watch paint dry, never watch grass grow.
Never watch a wet weather plan go wrong.
But you know what you should watch?
What?
The Left on Wed YouTube, because this is actually a video podcast as
Oh,
well.
our producer Oscar is just so talented.
We love Oscar.
He's putting Left on Wed everywhere.
If you're loving this and you love hearing us, you can watch us talk. And do you know what it looks like?
What?
It looks like two people on a couch talking to each other with microphones.
It does.
So you could be in that room. You could be sitting right there. But you'd only know where I pointed then if you're watching on YouTube.
Yes.
And this is for
only.
you, YouTube people.
Subscribe. Leave a review.
Georgia,
Let's
are you
wrap
happy
it up.
with the weather?
Today I am.
It's a nice day.
Let's
Not
get
too
out
hot,
there.
not too cold, not too windy. I would have it outside today.
It's just right.
Georgia, I'll see you out there.
See you next time.
Oh my God.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening.
We really appreciate you. And if you want to hear and see more, follow us on the socials. We are at Left on Wed Podcast on TikTok, on YouTube. There are full video episodes and on Instagram.
There sure are. If you've got questions, you've got comments, ideas for topics, slide on into the DMs. But you can also inquire about our celebrant services by finding Adam on Instagram and TikTok at Married by Adam.
That's me.
You can find me at Georgia Fletcher Celebrant.
And if you are itching to tell people about this, please do. But you can leave us a review on whatever platform you listen on. Tell people how much you love it. 5 stars only.
Thank you. That's all we will accept. We'll see you next time.
Left on Wed is recorded on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay respects to the elders past and present.
We, Adam and Georgia, acknowledge our First Nations people's continuous connection to culture and the importance of storytelling.